Hi, we are talking about why you should meditate. And I know I make a lot of videos about meditation and, guided meditation videos, but I just think it's the most important thing, at least it is for me. And when it comes to healing trauma, it is crucial. And I feel like if you do nothing else, to help yourself, meditation is the thing that we should go to. So I wanted to talk about the various reasons why meditation is so important, impactful, necessary. And I have notes, so I'm just reading down here. If I'm looking down, that's what I'm doing. And let's get to it. So you connect under your own story. This is how I like to think about it, is that we have all this conditioning, and it's kind of, we have ourself, and then we have all of these layers built upon ourselves from everything that we experience as we go through life, including but not limited to the media we're subjected to from all angles with our excessive use of the internet and social media and everything, to our parents' beliefs and how they raised us and things we experienced, in that way, just mirroring adults in our lives as we grow up, seeing how other kids acted and kind of taking on that energy, and just creating yourself out of these various factors outside of yourself. It's such a huge influence in who we are, is because of other people. And as we get older, there's this sense of easily losing track of who you are to fit a certain mold, to fit what you deem as good, because maybe you saw some behavior and some adults acted happy about a thing that you did or another kid did, and then you say, oh, I like that that response that person got, so I'm gonna bring that into my life. Or maybe you see the opposite, and you see something that happens and it gets a response that you don't want in your life, and so you do the opposite. And so it's this constant building upon yourself until you reach this point that you think you're acceptable in society's eyes, in adults' eyes, in your peers' eyes. It's this constantly changing, refining that you do to yourself and your personality, until you are at a place where maybe you don't even recognize yourself, or you're really unhappy, or you have depression, anxiety, or you go through traumatic experiences and you feel this disconnect from yourself. And oftentimes it happens in a moment. It's like this culmination of things that happen, and then you reach this point where your mind, your body can't really handle it anymore, and you go through like a mental breakdown or something, or it's just kind of a gradual process, and then you realize you're really depressed, or there's something that feels off, that you don't feel like yourself, you don't feel connected to yourself, you feel like a stranger maybe when you look in the mirror. So when this happens, and I think it probably happens to most people throughout the course of their lives, we're conditioned in so many ways. Social media, there are so many different facets of social media, from YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and then all these things kind of overlap. Like TikToks are posted on Instagram, and Instagram posts are posted on Facebook, and there's this like interweaving where you kind of get all of the pieces. It's like kind of like a fractal, where like each piece is part of the whole, but then you have one thing in everything. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. I don't even know if that made sense to me, but hopefully it's kind of get it. So yeah, TV, advertisements, billboards, if you live in a city, and besides the influence of just things coming from the media, you have this influence of people around you who are also immersed by the media's interpretation of what's good, and they're a reflection of that as well. When you see like makeup trends, any sort of trends, clothing trends, plastic surgery trends, like a lot of it comes with like how you look, these different fads and these trends, and you see it around you, you know? And if you aren't part of that, there's a tendency to feel maybe left out or like you're different. And then, of course, in society, being too different is not appreciated in many ways. Let's just put it that way. So, you know, we're constantly being programmed to believe in certain societal standard, and it's mirrored and reflected back to us in like every single direction. And it doesn't only include looking a certain way, it includes feeling a certain way, being a certain way, you know, acting a certain way, having a certain personality type. And so there are these parameters being created for us, and there's this deep belief that if we don't fit these parameters that are very specific and narrow parameters, and you know, humans come in all forms, so it's like we're being fit into this little tiny box. You know, if we don't fit these parameters, then we are considered less than, you know, whether that's in society, to ourselves, both. Our confidence is then diminished. You know, we think we inherently lack something that perhaps others have, or whatever. We think we need to buy the latest fad things, do the plastic surgeries, you know, make ourselves fit that mold more, so we are, in our eyes, which is really society's eyes in a very deep way, good enough. You know, so we get to this place of acceptance. You know, we think it's us accepting ourselves and liking ourselves more, but it's society accepting us, and in turn, we get good feedback, like when we're children and adults gave us or another kid good feedback, and we said, oh, we want to, you know, we want that kind of feedback too. So it's this kind of like continuous mirroring system. So it's a game, is the point. It's a game. And meditation brings you to this place that you are able to sift through what is conditioning and what is really you. And this is like a lifetime process for most people, I think. You know, meditation, if you have the intention of, you know, wanting to sift through all this conditioning and getting back to your true self and feeling who you really are underneath it all, you start to notice you connect back to your child self, and that's a self that hasn't, you know, not yet been shaped in such deep and intense ways by societal conditioning. So yeah, it takes you back to these basic personality traits, the basic human that you are, without all this stuff stacked on top of yourself. And it can be incredibly hard to know, you know, who you are in a world that's telling you it's best to be something else. A reason why meditation is also scary for people is because it forces you to face yourself, and yourself includes your darkness, your traumas, your grief, your pain, things that you're ashamed of, maybe things you did or said, how you acted, who you are in a way. And a lot of people, I mean, I don't know anyone who really wants or likes to do that, but it's a necessary component, because to really truly accept who you truly are underneath all this shit that we're taught, is also to accept that shadow self, to integrate all the pieces of yourself and actually learn how to unconditionally love yourself, you know? Yeah. So when it comes to sifting through the layers of yourself and connecting with the parts of yourself that you don't love right now, you know, the traumatized parts, the triggered parts, the grieving parts, it's really important to talk about trauma-informed mindfulness or trauma-informed meditation. Because meditation can be really triggering for people who have trauma. It can feel unsafe to be with yourself like that, to be with those dark thoughts, to feel those things kind of surging up and maybe reliving, re-experiencing those things, having to face those things. So oftentimes people who are traumatized turn to drugs and alcohol, turn to binge eating or anorexia, turn to various, you know, coping mechanisms that can take them outside of themselves so they don't have to face themselves fully. And I get it, you know, it makes a lot of sense that that's what we do, to avoid ourselves and deal with our own deep feelings, really hard feelings. But the more we do that, it's almost like the more intensely the symptoms of the trauma will show up. And it's almost like, you know, even if you avoid it for years, in some way it will show up, whether it seems random, like a random illness, panic attacks, you know, sleeplessness, horrible dreams, you know, it will show up until we acknowledge it and really face it and go through the darkness and heal it. I really believe that we have to go through it to get out of it. And, you know, of course, this is accomplished with mental health professionals and oftentimes medications and whatever support is needed and necessary. Definitely utilize whatever healthcare you can. So trauma-informed meditation, to me, you know, this means a lot of different things. There are teachers who teach trauma-informed meditation where they have certain language that they use that can help guide people who've experienced trauma into themselves in a way that feels safe. There's also just for yourself, you know, if you sit in meditation and you start to feel really uncomfortable things and a lack of safety, then you stop, you know, you take care of yourself, you listen to your body, and you don't push yourself beyond what feels okay to you, you know. And then when you get to different layers of the meditation process and experience, then you can start going deeper, you know, as it feels safe, as it feels okay. And so it's, for me, just like an internal process and experience, and just being kind to yourself enough, trusting yourself, your body enough to know that it will tell you when it's reached its limit, when you need a break, when you need to step back and do something else and maybe distract yourself. You know, healing is a winding road. Absolutely. And to stay the course often means you need to step out of that quote unquote healing space and do something different for a little bit, and then come back and keep coming back until you feel like, you know, you can sit with yourself for a little longer each time. guided meditations are a great way to deal with feelings of trauma that arise with meditation. Find a meditation, a voice that you feel safe with. So for a while, and kind of still, I can't really do guided meditations with male voices unless it's very specific, safe feeling male voice for me, but I choose female voices that feel very gentle and soothing and have a certain pitch to them that resonates with me. And if sitting in meditation still feels like it's too much right now, and it's totally understandable, start by taking slow walks in nature and just practicing mindfulness, because you can do meditation without sitting in meditation. You can meditate doing anything. It's just being present, and it's being attentive. It's being focused on what you're doing. It's finding that flow state. So I really like to take really slow walks in nature and just notice all my senses activated, what I'm smelling, what I'm hearing, and just, finding the mindfulness, that route, and then taking it deeper with your meditation as feels right to you. So another really important and just amazing aspect of meditation is that you are not looking for answers outside of yourself as much, and it connects you to trusting your inner guidance, and really there's no better guide. If you are on this healing journey, I mean, I feel like if you're watching this video, you've gone, you're interested in picking up all sorts of healing modalities and finding ways to help yourself. And we have so much stored in our brain and our consciousness and subconsciousness about healing. You know, it's like we know how to heal. It's just a matter of connecting with that and then following that process, you know, doing it. The self-help community is really riddled with self-help books and talks and merchandise like crystals and magic wands and, you know, alkaline water, and that's all fine, but it's a business like any other, and oftentimes the advice is not actually beneficial. You really do have to sift through different self-help media stuff to find what resonates with you. And really what I have found is the best self-help stuff out there are the things that lead you back to yourself, that say you don't actually need to buy all this shit to heal yourself. You just need to find your inner voice and sift through all the bullshit and connect with that inner guidance. You have more answers in yourself than you realize. Trusting yourself and your inner guidance is something meditation connects you with. So I'm not talking about intuition, although that can be part of it. Often when we are traumatized, our intuition leads us in the wrong direction. This is so critical. This is so crucial. For example, if you're used to being abused and you're attracting abusers, like an abusive partner, your intuition can tell you that this feels good, this feels safe, this feels comfortable, because it's what you know, and what you know is what you feel safe in often. You know, it's when you go outside of your comfort zone that there's a tendency to feel unsafe. So that intuition is not leading you in the right direction. And so intuition, I think, is just highly overrated in many ways, especially if you do have trauma. And it's just really important to realize that your intuition is often dysregulated. And so meditation can connect you to that voice, that feeling that place in you that is beyond your trauma. It's like this place that existed before your trauma, like I was saying, that child self. And you can access this place. This is something that I didn't even believe I could access, but it's definitely there. And more recently, I've really come to know that it's there and I can access it, and it's about just practicing connecting to that place that's under all that trauma. And so, of course, meditation is, I was going to say relaxing, but it's often not relaxing. I do find, though, that even when a meditation itself is not relaxing in the space that I'm meditating in, maybe I am sifting through some trauma stuff and it doesn't feel relaxing to me. But then when I come out of the meditation, I always feel this sense of calm. So even if you don't feel that in the meditation, I don't know if this is anyone else's experience, but it's definitely mine. There is a sense of calm when you come out of it. The sense of stillness, even if it doesn't exist in that moment. So even if it's not relaxing all of the time, it's a retreat from the noise, pressure, expectation, judgments from yourself and others, at least. So once that aspect of life is that it's a journey away from the self, and then back to the self. And that's really where I see meditation fitting in to life in such a beautiful way, because it's a route to the self without having to, waste time trying to pick all these things up externally and believe that it's going to help and heal you, but then it's just another thing that you paid for that is kind of empty. So the deep and the true healing for me happens in meditation over anything else. I also go to therapy and do a million other things every day, journaling and yoga. But meditation is such a foundational practice to heal trauma, and it's part of the spiral of healing trauma. So I will probably do this as a series, and so meditation is the first tier of healing trauma, and we will talk about other stuff in other videos. So thank you for watching, and the last thing I wanted to say is, besides just the stuff that I've written down, my own reflections and experiences of meditation, there is so much science on how healing meditation is, and the brainwave states that we go into and the hormones that are released in the body when we meditate. So it truly is healing in a scientifically proven way, even beyond just like this stuff that I've been reflecting on. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.